Okay. So, hello to all the participants and all the earthlings. This is Ilankuzhali. I'm reporting from India. So, I'm going to give a presentation about greenhouse establishment on Habitat Marte. I'm guided by Professor Giulio Rizondi. Um, the internal design of my greenhouse would be it will be in a shape of a curve, a dome, because to take into account the engineering constraints, the internal pressure and the shell radius, it is inversely related to the wall thickness. So how much ever the transparent the wall is, it should be as thin as possible, so that there is no stress that is applied, which will lead to the failure of the structure. So then the walls of the dome, the walls of the greenhouse habitat should be filled with water. uh, that is why, in case resist radiation. So this is the base plan of any greenhouse which will be established on Mars. Like the dome shape will contain water in the surface, but I have established a new technique which I'll be explaining in the next slides. So what will form the base for plant growth in a greenhouse is that we can collect the Martian soil, and that can be sterilized for any Martian microbes, and it can be treated for radiation. So I have also another technique to infuse in this, which I'll be explaining in the coming slides. So basically, this will be a setup of a greenhouse. So what is a greenhouse is that it accumulates, it gives place to plants to produce oxygen, which can be circulated inside the capsule for the process of human respiration. So this is the greenhouse. This is where the greenhouse will be established, and the greenhouse will obviously the plants will give out oxygen, and that will be used by the crew members, which in turn the plants will use from the byproduct of the crew members, that is a carbon dioxide. So after this is one kind of cycle. So how the cycle works is that the crew members' crew waste will go into the bioreactor, and the digested waste from the bioreactor, that is the biomass, which will be treated, and the carbon dioxide will be extracted. The process is here, and it will be filterized to go into the greenhouse again. Another one cycle is that the plant waste will also go into the bioreactor, from which the carbon dioxide will again be extracted. So basically, this cycle is what is for a greenhouse. This is the cycle which will be followed in any habitat on Mars or in lunar surface. So my proposition would be a geodesic dome. This is the basic layout of a greenhouse. It will look like this, like a dome shaped, and inside there will be plants growing on. So my applied technologies in this are, these are the materials which will be required to establish a greenhouse. So there is a covering material, the CO2 generation and distribution, which is very essential for a plant growth, and humidification system. Humidification system is to regulate the water flow, and sensors to overlook the ability of water flow, pressure, temperature, the humidity, and everything. This will be a wireless system which will be imported into a computer screen, and we can get the sensors from that. And lighting, the amount of sunlight the plant receives is very important. A drip system, which I'm going to explain the next slide. Nutrient application for a plant growth, nutrient is very important. And then a porous flooring for good aeration and good root growth. Time controller, there should be a specific time for water supplying, for temperature, for sunlight supplying, and everything. So there should be a time controller. Connecting pipes, plugs, and tripper. So as I told, the dome which will be the outer shell of the greenhouse, I've proposed a black fungus reinforced corrugated sheets. What is this is, in engineering we use corrugated sheets for to cover any material. So what I have proposed is we can use black fungus to reinforce the corrugated material. Why black fungus is that it's given here, effective radiation block from the surface radiation. So as we know, the Mars's atmosphere is very thin, so it is soaked with radiation. There are always the galactic cosmic rays and other SCP particles are always bombarding the surface of the bombarding surface on the Mars. So even if the greenhouse is installed, there is a little risk of radiation seeping inside the structure. So I have come up with an idea that we can reinforce the materials which are used to construct the dome with black fungus. Black fungus is that type of fungus which can eat up radiation and survive. So basically, this is a biomaterial, and with that we can construct the sheet which is reinforced inside the sheet, and we can construct the outer layer of the dome. So why this is a potent material? Because it can replace foam, timber, plastic insulation, door cores, panels, flooring, furnishings. We don't want to pollute the surface of Mars like we do on Earth. So this is a bio remediation method, and it is also low in density, thermal conductivity, and high acoustic absorption and fire safety. This comes under all safety regulations too. And this show a particular promise as a thermal and acoustic insulation forms. By this way, we can regulate the amount of temperature the plants receive. So basically, this is the corrugated sheets. You can see the black fungus is reinforced into the sheets. It will look something like this. This is the sawdust, which can be the process is over here. So food waste will go into the dryer. This is the dried food waste, and with the dried food waste and sawdust, this additives is the black fungus which I am proposing. So the dry food waste, sawdust, and the black fungus can be added together in a hydraulic press and can be used as the sheets for the external thing, and it can be used to any other external materials also. So as a matter of fact, this can be produced on Martian surface too. So it is not necessary that we create all this on Earth and take it to Mars. All the food waste, sawdust, I mean, in the place of sawdust we can use regolith, treated regolith, and the black fungus. All it can be made in the Martian surface, and then even the future sheets can be produced over there. For the plant maintenance, I proposed a drip irrigation system, that is to on the Mars surface, we couldn't produce water as we like. The water should be treated from what we use, the loo system or the other systems has to treat water for the water consumption and other things. So while water consumption is one problem for plants, they also require a particular amount of water. So what we can do is that in order to stop the waste of excess water, we can use drip irrigation systems, that there will be specifically aligned plants. There will be different species of plants also which require minimal requirement of water. So we don't have to waste water in every kind of plants. We can measure each species, their water requirements, and every other thing, and we can line them like this. And the pipelines will be connected to directly to the root of each plant, and we can monitor the root of each plant, by which they will require a specific amount of water. So only that specific amount of water will be supplied to those plants. So basically it will look like this. So the drip irrigation system is a pipeline with pressure regulator and is supplied with sufficient amount of water from the treated water. So how it will be monitored is through a sensor. Or the pipelines will consist of a temperature regulator, a humidity regulator, and a pressure regulator, so that the specific amount of concern is given to specific amount of plants. And the possible resources to generate in situ or transferred it from Earth. What will be the raw materials used is that basically we start from a plant callus, that is a potent fungi species. I think a fungi species is enough to do all the activities what I have proposed till now, because they have the potentiality to do that. So initially what we have to do is that we have to test the potent fungi by sending them on board to the ISS, and we can monitor their work, like in terms of extreme pressure, extreme temperature, and the extreme radiation resistant what they show. So after that, the potent fungi species will be selected, and only the plant callus will be taken to the surface of the Mars. So after it is taken, as I told, the external material of the dome or the external surface of the whole habitat will be created on the surface of Mars with the limited resources which are present over there in the surface of Mars. So after that, the greenhouses will be established, and the Martian regolith. I'm going to handle it in the next slide. So only the Martian regolith has to be treated in this. That too, there are certain simulants by which we can treat the Martian regolith to remove only the to remove all the toxic parts, and that too fungi has proven to remove toxins from the soil. For that, we can use black fungus, which can eat up radiation. So yeah, so initially plants like simple plants which require low nutrition and low water, like potato, lettuce, quinoa, pea, tomato, and lentils can be initially grown, and these plants have been proven to grow on Martian simulated regolith. So this is a feasible solution, and these are the feasible plants which can be initially grown with the help of fungus. So the ambient conditions for which the plant can grow on Mars is basically they are pressure, wind and dust, temperature, and light levels. So all these can be regulated inside a greenhouse in favorable to the plants. So basically, the ideal wall material, which in we are going to construct the greenhouse, would allow transmittance of the wavelengths about 400 nanometers at an incidence angle from 0 to 90 degree, and zero transmittance out of the structure for all wavelengths beyond 3000 nanometer. So by this way, if we construct the dome of the greenhouse, all the ambient conditions can be met. How will the greenhouse will be managed? So basically, the greenhouse management will be overlooked by the greenhouse chief, who belongs to any genre of engineering or agriculture. So under them comes the botanist or any crew astronauts who know the procedure of maintaining the plants. And then if anything goes wrong, the technician or the maintenance engineer takes care of it. The position or the astronaut profile and duties of each of the members will be, so the greenhouse chief will overlook all the control of the greenhouse maintenance and the assessment of the control system, and they communicate it to the ground. They also check the sensors if they are working properly, and the crew botanist will take care of the all the essential parts of the plant growth, which is to water supply, oxygen supply, nutrient supply, and they also uh, occasionally they do lab analysis to test the overall health of the plant, and also the sunlight regulation and the biomass sunlight exposure and the biomass regulation. So what does a maintenance engineer do in this case is that they check the valves and the pipe connectivity and the pressure regulation. So because only at the specified pressure or the specified temperature, the water should be supplied to the roots of the plants. So how should an astronaut be trained to do all these things? Is an individual astronaut will water the plants, which is a very basic activity, and they also check regularly check the health of the plants and rearing of the plants. So we can't overgrow the plants in a specific place because the habitat is very limited. So the rearing of plants regularly is very essential, and also the temperature and humidity check. So these are the list of videos which you can ponder upon to train astronauts for this kind of infrastructure. And the resources needed for 1 week for plant growth is so a substrate moisture content of 20% was enough to grow quality plants actually. So for a week, I mean a 3 weeks of period, only 16 ounces of water per plant is required. That is a teaspoon for one plant. But through drip irrigation, we can reduce it to 4 or 5 drops per day to directly into the root of the plant. So the water resource is directly proportional to the number of plants and the type of plant varieties too. So by that way, we don't have to supply the same kind of water to every plant. We can reduce or increase it according to the species of the plant we are using. So we should be choosy of what plants we use, and also the type of system we use. What are the protocols to be followed in a greenhouse? Is that so basically a greenhouse in earth on or on Mars um, follows all these procedures. So solar energy is received, and the inner climate is maintained. That will control the plant growth, and the parameters of the soil, that is the how much nutrients they hold and how much water they hold, all will be maintained. And this is via wireless communication, that is a sensor and integrated controller, which is overlooked by the chief. And the control parameters of the all these comes under the sensors and the integrated control system. And also the outer environment will also be monitored. All this can be overlooked by the chief, and parameters can be increased or decreased according to the needs of the plant. So basically, this is how the greenhouse on Mars is also going to function, except there will be different kind of establishment and different kind of structure for the establishment of the greenhouse. what safety procedures we have to follow in a greenhouse. So there is a major concern about the solid biomass, solid waste biomass from the bioreactors. I mean the excretions of the crew members are converted into biomass, and that is also used as a nutrient for plants. So there is a possibility that this can toxicate or infiltrate the air sometimes. So that should be regulated by properly checking the air concentration, and that should not lead to the deterioration of the health of the astronauts. So this is done by some chemical analysis. Also there are a lot of toxic chemicals which can be mixed with the soil on a daily on a basis. So this will also be checked by chemical analysis, and it will be stopped at some point by a chemist or any other crew astronaut. So what I have introduced in the entertainment and other thinking in greenhouse is that herbs like basil, lavender, mint, and lemon balm, etc., which have medicinal and also having calming properties, can be grown in a vertical habitat. That is, a greenhouse will be, if the drip irrigation greenhouse is established in a horizontal way, the calming and other herbs can be established in a vertical way, by which water is sprayed to them, so that it is a secondary kind of plant growth, which will help in astronauts health too, like psychological stability of the crew members. This can be entertained in a greenhouse. It can be overlooked by the members who overlook the greenhouse management. So what do we require for the greenhouse management in terms of 3D printing is that clippers, injectors, forceps, and shovels. Clippers are for restricting the plant growth or increasing them, and injectors are to supply excess water to the root systems. Forceps and shovels to arrange the like the laying of the greenhouse sometimes required. What are the spin-offs and what are the techniques that can be applied on earth is that a greenhouse establishment is the like need of the hour. It is the most energy and cost efficient method which can promote agriculture on earth at many levels. So water which is used in a greenhouse can be not direct. It can be recycled wastewater management, and that is enough to fuel a greenhouse on earth. So by greenhouse establishment, the extreme and disadvantaged weather conditions will not be a problem for crop production anymore. That is, a cyclone or a drought or flood, they don't tend to affect greenhouse as they affect the natural habitat of a crop production. So this can be reduced drastically in different levels if we establish greenhouses on like a very predominant levels. Guidelines to be applied to daily life on earth. So what can be incorporated into the daily life on earth to promote greenhouse is that typically a greenhouse with average capacity of 8 kilometer, which is like basically the size of a terrace of a building, will accommodate and produce crops, vegetables, and herbs for a family of four on a monthly basis. So that is like enough to run a family for a month. So this cost estimation is a major problem, and the cost estimation to establish a greenhouse will be some $5,000 to $20,000. And if we see this amount in a yearly basis, what we spend on crops, I mean food is very essential for everyday's life. So if we look upon the food expenditures, this is like a very feasible solution for the current scenario. And also the standard and quality of a local food production is very highly reliable and affordable, which will lead to good health among the masses. So there is a difference between buying packed food and eating the food which we grow. So this will drastically affect the it is a very sustainable solution if if we establish greenhouses on like a very in a deliberate and very local level. So regarding the sustainable development goals by UN, so all in all, does the greenhouse uh, uh, it, greenhouse can establish is that no poverty. So by encouraging greenhouse in every families, there is no need to poverty, and agriculture will be it will go to the next level, and every person will be known to agriculture then, and they get close to the nature. Zero hunger, yeah, definitely. If we produce our own food, there will be no hunger. And producing food by greenhouse, I think it comes with minimal disadvantages. Good health. Of course, we if we eat the food which we produce, obviously it will lead in good health. Affordable and clean energy. In a greenhouse, we regulate the temperature and climatic condition inside it. So of course it comes under affordable and clean energy. We infiltrate the atmosphere with habitat, and that doesn't do any harm to any external things. And decent work and economic growth. Of course, if we everybody tend to produce their own food, it doesn't lead to any economic deterioration. Industry innovation and infrastructure. By this way, industries will come forward to put investment in greenhouses on a big level. Also, it paves way to infrastructures which can be produced in new levels for the encouragement of greenhouses. Sustainable cities and communities. Of course, the this is a very sustainable solution by which we can't eradicate all the natural resources available now. We can recreate them. So responsible consumption, of course, this is a responsible consumption by which we are responsible for our own food production. So climatic action, yeah, this also comes under climatic action. We are not spoiling the ground with other fertilizers. This is completely biodegradable and a bioenergetic solution. Partnership for goals. Yeah, this could help us in partnering with other nations and other industries to come forward to do the sustainable goal. These are the references which I looked upon to incorporate in my presentation. And yeah, by this way you can connect me. Thank you.